When a waitress discovers the billionaire's ring, an amazing truth is revealed that changes ever. Lisa hurriedly wiped down a table in the diner, her heart racing as she caught sight of a glimmering object nestled between the salt and pepper shakers. A diamond ring. It sparkled under the fluorescent lights, a stark contrast to the grease-splattered counters and the cozy, albeit worn, booths of the small diner. She felt a rush of excitement, but it was immediately tempered by urgency. This wasn't the kind of thing you'd find in a place like this. She glanced around, waiting for someone to claim it, but the lunch rush kept her preoccupied. Her thoughts turned to Mia, her daughter, and the dreams of a better future swirling in her mind. As the bustling diner began to calm, Lisa recognized the ring. It belonged to Mark, the businessman who often graced their diner with his presence. He was known for his aloof demeanor, his tailored suits seeming alien in her world of plaid uniforms and greasy aprons. Could she really confront him about it? The conflict gripped her. Keeping the ring would be an easy way to pay rent, but that wasn't who she was. A wave of determination surged within her. She had always prided herself on her work ethic, believing that hard work was more potent than wealth. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Rounding the corner, Lisa found Mark sitting in the corner booth, scrolling through something on his phone, oblivious to the world. She took a deep breath, the weight of her decision pressing down on her. What if he dismissed her? What if her courage was a joke to him? But what if this encounter opened doors? As she approached, tension surged. She set the ring before him, her pulse quickening. You left this behind. His dark eyes met hers, and for the first time, she felt he was actually seeing her. His lips twitched into a small smile, but there was something more there, something inscrutable. Was it gratitude? A hint of intrigue, but then reality came crashing down as she learned of the impending corporate takeover that threatened to dismantle what her father built in the industry. The news hit her like a freight train. Suddenly, her burgeoning friendship with Mark felt like an act of betrayal. Could she really trust him, knowing that his empire was poised to crush everything she held dear? The stakes had never been higher as she wrestled with her feelings. She felt grotesque pain in her chest, swirled with anger and confusion. Mark's smile might hold promises, but could it ever outweigh the implications of corporate greed? Mia's laughter filled her thoughts, shaking her resolve. Would a relationship with Mark mean she was turning her back on her family's values? As Lisa scanned the patrons and the flickering lights of the diner, her thoughts spiraled. She was caught between the grind of her daily life and the rich allure of a world that felt so tantalizing yet so distant. But with every passing moment, she sensed the chance of something deeper, a flickering light amid her darkness. With heavy uncertainty weighing on her heart, she rose, ready to confront Mark about the scandal, battling the cacophony of doubts echoing in her mind. The diner door swung open, a chilling draft sweeping through, interrupting her thoughts. The ominous presence of someone she didn't expect could change everything forever. Lisa's pulse quickened as she turned to face the newcomer, her heart racing not just from the uncertainty of the situation, but from the unsettling feeling that this person could tip the scales of her precarious balance. The chill that rushed in with the door carried an energy that made her instincts flare. The man who entered the diner was tall, exuding an ominous charisma that felt at odds with the warmth of the diner. His sharp suit and cold gaze made it clear he wasn't here for the coffee or pie. She recognized him immediately from her past. Roger, an attorney known for his ruthless litigation tactics. Lisa, isn't it, he said, his voice smooth but laced with something dangerous. I didn't expect to see you here. There was no kindness in his words. They felt like an accusation, a warning, or maybe both. What do you want, Roger? She managed to reply, holding her ground. This was a man who had spent years trying to intimidate those around him and who had a hand in the ethical quagmires that plagued her family's company. "It's not what I want, it's what you should want," he paused, glancing toward Mark, who was still observing them with thinly veiled curiosity. "Words out that there's a lot at stake in the upcoming board meeting. You might want to reconsider where you stand." Her mind raced as several realizations collided. Roger was hinting that if she didn't align with the right side, meaning Mark's opposition, she would find herself on the losing end of this power struggle. Could Roger be using her vulnerability to undermine Mark? Lisa took a steadying breath. "I know what your ambitions are, Roger. You think manipulation will help you win, but it just shows your weakness." He chuckled, unfazed by her defiance. "Oh, Lisa, you're in over your head. Remember, this industry thrives on alliances. You might find that holding a grudge against someone like Mark could become harmful." She felt Mark's gaze intensify at the mention of his name. It confused her. Was he an ally against Roger, or was she simply pinning hopes on something that could become disastrous? The pressure was mounting. How could she fortify her family legacy while navigating the complexities of her feelings for Mark? The weight of her family's legacy tugged at her conscience. She couldn't allow herself to be swayed by anyone, especially not Roger. But could a relationship with Mark offer her the leverage she needed? Or was she merely deluding herself in pursuit of a mirage? "Stay out of it, Roger," she said, her voice a whisper but steady, hiding the turmoil within. "This is between me and my choices." Mark stood up, breaking the tension at the table. "What is going on here?" Lisa barely had time to process the implication of his presence. She wanted to tell him everything, but fear gripped her. She couldn't place trust in any of them. She knew that confronting Mark about the takeover also meant confronting her feelings. It was a moment of reckoning, a plunge into uncertain waters. The currents were strong, and she was scared of being swept away. "Decisions are being made, Mark," Lisa said, feeling more resolute than she had just moments ago. "And they're being made without me. I will not be a pawn." As she affirmed her position, a flash of anger and resolve lit up in her. In that instant, she felt the stirrings of a power she hadn't realized she possessed. Mark's expression hardened as he processed her words, then turned towards Roger, a battle brewing between their intentions. "You're going to have to choose your side, Lisa," Roger interjected coolly. The diner, once a realm of comfort, now felt like a battleground. Lisa knew the time had come to confront not only Mark but the impending threat to her family's legacy and her own aspirations. With her heart pounding, she took a step closer to Mark. "I need to know where you truly stand." The moment of clarity in her voice clashed with the chaos surrounding her. In that pivotal instance, Lisa felt a spark of determination kindling within. But would it be enough to navigate the treacherous waters ahead? Lisa's heart hammered against her ribs as she held Mark's gaze, a mixture of hope and dread coursing through her. She had never been one to willingly step into the limelight. The shadows felt safer, but courage demanded she confront the uncertainty. "What do you mean?" he asked, confusion shadowing his brow. "Your battle isn't just with Roger," she said, wrestling with the clarity of her impending choices. "It involves me, my family's legacy and what they've built. I have a stake too, and I refuse to be sidelined." Mark hesitated. The intensity of the moment illuminated everything that lingered unspoken. Lisa's resolve fortified her. She felt a new sense of agency, one she had put on hold for too long. "Life doesn't just happen to us, does it?" she continued, now channeling the fire that had sparked moments earlier. "We're molded by what we choose, and aligning with Roger is not a choice I will make." Mark's expression shifted, and she could see the gears turning in his mind. For the first time, he seemed less like the potential adversary she feared and more like a collaborative force she could work with, or it could shatter, as Roger had warned. "Then we're on the same page," he finally said, settling into a defensive posture but with an edge of determination. "I'll do what it takes to protect what's yours, Lisa." But we need to be more than just allies, we'll have to outmaneuver him. The conviction in his tone elicited a mix of excitement and trepidation. Aligning with Mark could very well challenge everything she stood for. The risk was substantial, and yet the faint whisper of possibility ignited something she had buried for years: ambition. Roger plays dirty, and emotions are just tools for him. I know it sounds naive, but can we approach this with integrity? Lisa questioned, desperate for affirmation that they could navigate the treacherous landscape without compromising their values. Mark arched an eyebrow, inclining his head. Integrity, huh? Let us just say that in this game, having bonds of honor is rare and can be exploited. There it was, the breathtaking realization that their tightened alliance thrived on the very qualities she wished to embrace. The world might be ruthless, but she could choose to forge her path differently. Then let us redefine the game, she said with newfound confidence. If we're to challenge the board, we need to draw from strength and insight, not fear. He scrutinized her, surprise mingling with admiration. You're not the tucked-away waitress I thought you were, he replied, a hint of a smile breaking through. You may just be the wild card we need. The transformation began to settle in her bones. For the first time, Lisa felt not only capable but also instrumental. Each decision reverberated with the potential to rewrite her family's story. Perhaps standing alongside Mark could fortify her footing instead of leading her astray. As they exchanged plans to counter Roger's manipulations, the surrounding din of the diner faded into a low hum, a backdrop to the primal energy coursing between them. There was clarity in their shared purpose, but uncertainty shadowed their path. Neither could ignore the larger implications of their convergence. Unbeknownst to them, Roger's watchful eyes remained fixed on them from the corner of the diner, his face reflecting a calculated malice. The game had begun, they'd unwittingly drawn the line, igniting the inevitable confrontation that loomed ahead. The time will come to face him down, Lisa said quietly, only half believing her own words. But the next board meeting was just around the corner, a pivotal clash waiting to expose their newfound alliance. Would it survive the onslaught? Would her conviction and fortitude withstand the impending storm? The imminent resolution stirred within her. She felt a thrilling pulse of daring and adventure opening before her. But as she collated their strategies, the reality persisted. In navigating personal ambition, was she risking everything she sought to protect? What she didn't know was that Roger possessed a secret that could unravel everything. Lisa's mind churned as the diner's neon lights flickered, setting a surreal tone for her thoughts. The clang of plates and hum of conversation faded, consumed by her heavy introspection. Tethered to the table by the weight of what lay ahead, she could feel the stakes rising with every heartbeat. An alliance with Mark was merely a first step, yet it felt monumental testament to her new commitment toward agency. As they laid out strategies on scattered napkins, Lisa's gaze lingered on Mark's hands, which moved deftly as he sketched a makeshift plan. Instinctively, she sensed the gravity of their situation deepening. Their endeavor was now a battle not just against Roger but against her old self, the one who would have clung to the sidelines, paralyzed by doubt. What would she sacrifice for her family's legacy? The thought punctured her momentary excitement, unleashing an unsettling wave of anxiety. Would standing up for her beliefs truly result in harmonious balance, or would it expose weaknesses she feared to face? Each question prodded at the fragile boundaries she had only just begun to fortify. Lisa? Mark's voice broke through her spiral. What are you thinking? I'm okay, she lied, forcing a smile. But inside, she already calculated potential repercussions, shaping each answer like clay in her fingertips. I'm ready. Just processing. The confrontation with Roger will be intense, especially in front of the board. Mark's expression shifted, matching her apprehension. It's not just the board. It's about the perception, our credibility. If he undermines you in that meeting. Oh, how she cringed at the thought, the specter of Roger's sharp tongue echoing in her mind. Would he lever every hidden weakness against her, strip away the facade she was desperately building? Lisa drew a breath, sharpening her resolve. This was precisely the moment where insecurity could be met with ironclad confidence. "I must prepare," she declared, leaning into this newfound conviction. "If Roger expects me to falter, I can't let him see fear. I'll focus on data, insights, and how my vision aligns with the company." Each syllable she spoke became a stepping stone toward realization, a budding sense of control she intended to nurture. Mark nodded in unwavering agreement, his respect evident in those dark eyes. "You have to own the narrative, not just respond to it. Is there something in your family legacy that he could misinterpret? Something he could weaponize?" An idea sparked, illuminating the path before her. She delved deep into her memories, contemplating her grandmother's perseverance through crises that seemed insurmountable. "There's the annual report, the history of our family in the business. It showcases not only our financial roadmap but the values that got us here." Roger could twist them into a narrative of incompetence or staunch defiance. As the implications dawned on her, her stomach churned with both dread and excitement. The very values she so desperately wanted to highlight became a double-edged sword. Could she pivot them in a way that left no room for misinterpretation? "Incorporate the passion behind our history," Mark said, his enthusiasm infectious. "If you can articulate that emotion before the board, it will bolster your position. You must lean into what makes your family story compelling." Emboldened by his validation, Lisa's mind raced. She recalled the countless stories her grandmother shared, how their small restaurant had survived through thick and thin during economic downturns. Those narratives represented more than just numbers, they were resilience wrapped in heart. She could pivot those tales into powerful commentary that wouldn't just inform but resonate. "Let us mold a presentation that highlights our strengths," she insisted, ignited by possibility. "We'll emphasize how Roger's approach could undermine that legacy rather than uplift it. It's time for the narrative to come from us." Suddenly, she felt buoyed, navigating toward her own evolution. The realization that she could lead, influence, and harness her family's struggle and their triumphs through adversity was liberating. But as the two strategized late into the night, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Their alliance might be solid, but Roger's hold over them extended into the shadows, where secrets darkened the air. In that dim diner, she couldn't help but wonder about the hidden truths that might still emerge to threaten all she aimed to create and defend. As she finalized their strategy, a nagging thought persisted. Just how deep did Roger's manipulation run? The next move felt perilous, a full embrace of the unpredictability woven into their path. The board meeting loomed like a storm cloud, and in every thunderous thought rattling through her mind, she knew confronting Roger was inevitable. But in doing so, would she uncover the truths that might shatter everything they built? She paused, gripping her napkin tightly. This was no longer merely about protecting her legacy, it was an awakening that would demand her full transformation. "Are we ready for whatever he throws at us?" Mark's voice was steady, but the question trembled with the gravity of their choice. With resolve crystallizing within, Lisa looked him in the eye. "We must be. The real question is, what else does he know?" The sun crept over the horizon, casting long shadows across the boardroom where Lisa now stood, a stark contrast to the dim diner where she had once contemplated her fate. Here, surrounded by polished wood and glimmering glass, she could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on her, like the vast ocean against a rocky shore. As she arranged her notes and pulled up her slides, she studied the faces around the table. Familiar expressions of indifference, skepticism, and barely concealed contempt reminded her of Roger's influence, an influence that had imprisoned too many with fear and hesitation. Her resolve hardened. The time for submission was over, she was ready, and it was time to reclaim her voice. Lisa slid into the chair at the head of the table, a position she'd never occupied before, and in that moment, the seat felt monumental. Mark positioned himself at her side, a silent guardian in this encounter against a menacing storm. Despite the swirling anxiety inside her, she focused on their collective goal, establish their narrative and expose the truth. As the meeting commenced, Roger entered, radiating confidence, as if harboring secrets to the world. His presence forced a reality check. This man was not merely an adversary, he was the gated fortress guarding the family legacy. The board meeting unfolded like a carefully orchestrated performance, his remarks weaving a distorted story about the company's direction, tactics designed to isolate Lisa and undermine her credibility. When her turn came, Lisa felt the groundwork laid by her late-night brainstorming with Mark pulse within her. She took a deep breath, harnessing the strength of her ancestors, their resilience flowing through her veins. My vision for our company, she began, focusing on the slides, is rooted in the values passed down through generations. Our strength isn't just in the numbers but in our ability to adapt, listen, and innovate. She infused her delivery with the warmth and authority of her family's legacy, knowing that this was both a plea and a proclamation that challenged Roger's narrative. Mark's presence next to her was a steadying force, and she drew on the research they had gathered, the insights transforming into pillars for her case. We are not merely survivors of financial storms, we are pioneers, expanding into new markets and aligning ourselves with emerging trends. If we rely on outdated tactics, we risk becoming obsolete. She could feel the board's attention shift, but Roger was relentless. Ah, Lisa, but without understanding the deeper market context, one that lead you down a naive path? Perhaps the story you tell isn't grounded in reality. Lisa's heart raced. The dismissiveness in his tone stung, igniting an instinctive fight. But as she scanned the faces around the table, doubt mingled with determination. Her voice steadied. Naivety is in ignoring our potential. We've always faced adversities, and they've shaped our company into what it is today. Roger, perhaps your approach is more outdated than you believe. Gasps echoed softly. She had crossed a line. Challenging him openly in front of the board was a gamble. And yet, it felt necessary. The air thickened, tension brewing like a brewing storm. Lisa's mouth went dry as Roger loomed forward, eyes narrowing. You would risk it all on untested waters? The board deserves strong leadership, not someone who wishes to romanticize family tales. Before she could respond, a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye caught her attention. Mark's eyebrows rose, a silent prompt urging her back on track. As she unfolded her slides, parading the raw data that underscored her points, she felt a momentum building like waves rising toward a crest. This data, she pressed on, holding their gazes, charts our legacy, yes, but also the path forward. It's not about worshipping the past, but energizing it, transforming it into a modern blueprint. The palpable energy shifted again, some members registering approval, others uncertainty tugging at their expressions. But Roger was relentless, leaning back into his prepared defense. No one wants to undermine the legacy, but can we afford to delve into comfortable nostalgia? It's not a valid strategy. As Lisa prepared her counter, her thoughts raced. Was it nostalgia if it was rooted in a deep understanding of the company's identity? No, she thought, it was about restoration, a reclamation of power that they had allowed to slip through their fingers. It hit her then, and an urgent conviction surged through her. If she could connect her family's stories with actionable strategy, she could reshape the perception of her leadership among the board. Then, in the midst of her thoughts, she remembered something essential: the annual report, the way it showcased their evolution amidst adversity. Roger, what would it mean for us to bring our legacy forward, not as nostalgia but as a springboard toward innovation? The question hung as silence enveloped the room, and she could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the board quickening. The previously familiar faces now appeared intrigued, reflecting a flicker of interest. But the dagger-like gaze of Roger weighed heavily. He had felt the tide begin to turn. What are you saying, Lisa? Roger pried, a blend of curiosity and provocation in his voice. This was the moment, her moment. Lisa squared her shoulders, heart pounding, but determination coursed through her. I'm saying it's time to confront the truths our lineage, shaped by hardship, can guide us to unprecedented achievements. And it's within those stories that true leadership resides. Was she ready for whatever he would throw back at her? The stakes heightened, tension ebbing and flowing like the ocean waves she envisioned. The truth was surfacing, could she dare to bring it to light, and in that charged silence, the unsettling question loomed larger than ever. What had Roger hidden under layers of charm and authority? The silence lingered as the room absorbed Lisa's declaration. A collective intake of breath seemed to echo off the walls, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she could see a flicker of respect in a few faces. But Roger's response shattered the fragile moment. Your emotional appeal is compelling, but this board needs more than just nostalgia-laden platitudes. We need numbers, metrics, and a clear strategy, he countered, his voice dripping with icy condescension. His words hung in the air, heavy and sharp, as he leaned back, arms crossed, exuding a sense of victorious confidence. Inside, Lisa's heart raced, but she recognized the challenge as an opportunity. This was the moment to turn the tide. Emotion drives people, Roger. While the metrics are essential, they won't matter if we don't understand the values that have brought us here. Let's look at how our past can inform not just who we are, but who we can become. Almost instinctively, she shifted into a more analytical mode, her thoughts sharpening. She had to pivot from nostalgia to actionable insight. In the last 5 years, our competitors who embrace their heritage while innovating their practices have seen a 40% growth in market share. This isn't about looking back, it's about leveraging our strengths forward. Lisa sensed the board's interest growing as she spoke, their skepticism lingering but less dominating. The fear that had gripped her at the start of the meeting dissipated slightly, replaced with a rush of momentum. She rifled through her slides until she found the one highlighting their competitors' successes with comparative data. See here, she continued, pointing at the screen. This is what embracing legacy while driving modernization looks like. Our identity can set us apart, but it needs to be actively relevant in today's landscape. We need to evolve, not forget. As she spoke, every ounce of her conviction transformed into palpable energy, resonating in the room. She noticed nods from a couple of board members. The door was creaking open, and she was not simply a participant, she was a contender in this fight for her vision. Yet, Roger was relentless, refusing to concede ground. But statistics can be manipulated, Lisa. What guarantee do we have that a focus on heritage won't blind us? Your idealism is charming, but the real world is unforgiving. The word struck hard. His attempt to brush away her points with accusations of idealism sent a ripple of doubt through her. Did she risk too much in advocating for a balance of past and future? Would her board, trained under Roger's guiding hand, agree? Taking a deep breath, she acknowledged the mounting skepticism swirling within her. The stakes were rising. I'm not asking for blind faith in nostalgia, Roger. I'm advocating for an informed, strategic blending of who we are with where we aim to go. Our legacy is not a crutch, it's a compass. At that moment, she felt the weight of expectancy shift subtly. It was as if the tension had coalesced into a single focus, a current carrying everyone in the room toward her. She could almost sense Mark's encouragement as he leaned closer, conveying solidarity. Roger's look turned from disbelief to calculation, and she knew this was the critical juncture. So you believe we can win the market with a narrative soaked in sentimental stories? He prodded, trying to bait her into reaction. Lisa met his gaze with unwavering determination. I believe we can win the market by being authentic. By using those stories as a foundation upon which we build innovation. Our customers want more than just a product, they want to connect with something real, something meaningful. The air turned electric. Board members exchanged glances, uncertainty mingling with curiosity. She could feel the momentum swinging her way, but Roger wasn't finished yet. I see you're committed to this angle, but tell me, how would we execute this plan without compromising efficiency? He was probing, testing her resolve, and she felt a flicker of doubt. But she couldn't afford to let it simmer. Instead, she leaned in. Feeling that inheritance of resilience pulsing through her. The plan would be phased, starting with retraining our staff to embody our values, launching a marketing campaign that speaks our story, interwoven with data to showcase our potential directions. Efficiency lies in leveraging what we already own: our identity, the heartbeat of our company. In that moment, as she articulated the groundwork, it became clear this was her transformation. She wasn't just defending her viewpoint, she was forging a new path forward, intertwining her heritage and ambition into a cohesive strategy, yet, the path forward remained fraught with uncertainty. Roger's face darkened as a chill swept back into the room. "And if you fail, Lisa? What will be left for those who have trusted your vision when it crumbles?" The weight of his question pressed down like a heavy blanket. Could she truly gamble everything on her burgeoning vision? Was there a way to weave her past into a future worth fighting for? As eyes darted between Lisa and Roger, she realized the battle for the soul of their company was far from over. With the stakes higher than ever, the echo of her legacy resonated. She had to summon every ounce of resolve, but deep down, a larger question lingered. In this struggle against Roger's shadow, what revelations about herself and her capabilities would emerge? Could she dare to fully embrace the leader she was destined to become? And in that moment of awareness, with everything to gain and possibly everything to lose, the tension wound tighter, setting the stage for her next move. The atmosphere in the boardroom grew heavy as Lisa's statement hung in the air. Each member of the board was now in a state of suspended anticipation, weighing her vision against Roger's relentless pragmatism. Inside, Lisa grappled with a whirlwind of thoughts. She felt buoyed by the wave of interest she had generated, but Roger's dismissal echoed in her mind. What if her instincts were wrong? Yet, there was no retreat. She reminded herself that she was standing up for something deeper than numbers. She was fighting for a narrative worth embracing, one beyond mere profit margins. "We can be efficient and authentic," she asserted, seeking to reinforce that point. "Our innovation can emerge from our understanding of who we are, and that identity can streamline our efforts rather than complicate them." As she spoke, Lisa sensed more ties loosening between her and Roger's hardline stance. The challenge lay in igniting a fire in the hearts of those seated around the table. They needed not just to hear her but to feel her. Her skill would be in painting a vision that reached beyond pie charts and quotas. But what if she failed this test of resolve? "Show us the timeline," Roger pressed again, his voice lower now but no less skeptical. He was playing the strategist, dissecting her plan with the precision of a professional. "What does this monumental change look like in practical terms?" Lisa took a breath, channeling the anxiety threatening to creep in. This was a moment not just for strategy but for her. The words formed in her mind a balance of personal conviction and sharp business acumen. "We could launch the first phase within 6 months. This would involve a series of workshops dedicated to equipping our team with a stronger sense of our legacy, integrating storytelling into their roles so each interaction reflects our values." Seeing the flicker of interest in a few board members' expressions gave her the energy to continue. The idea gained momentum as she spoke of revitalizing the company's culture, highlighting the connection their employees would harness by grounding themselves in history. Phase 2 would align our marketing strategies. By year-end, we should launch campaign trials that emphasize our heritage, which will not only attract customers but also groom our staff identity. As her words echoed around the room, the shift was palpable. By embracing who we are, we become a model for others who fear losing their essence. "We won't just survive, we'll lead," she finished, sensing a crucial pivot in the board's atmosphere. Even as her confidence solidified, the specter of doubt resurfaced. In this journey, would they allow her to navigate the storm? Roger seemed momentarily caught off guard, and Lisa seized that precious moment to press on. "Look, if the focus remains solely on metrics, we're arresting our growth potential. We must not only react to the market, we need to shape a narrative that resonates with our audience." Lisa avoided eye contact with Roger, fearing what might be revealed in his expression. However, she couldn't ignore the burning question reverberating in her mind. Was her identity as a leader tethered to her past, or could she carve a new identity molded by the vision of the company? The silence only intensified as the board members exchanged thoughtful glances, grounding themselves in her budding vision. It dawned on Lisa that this struggle was more than professional, it was personal. She needed to confront her own fear of failure head-on. But there remained a risk in defining herself through others' perceptions. When Roger interjected, his tone had softened, but his skepticism remained. "You're passionate, Lisa. But let us entertain the harsh truth. What if your emotional narrative doesn't stick? What if you fail to engage our customers with those stories? What's the fallback?" The stakes felt impossibly high, and Lisa leaned into the uncertainty, a gamble not just with the company but with her newfound sense of self. "Exposure comes with risk, Roger," she declared resolutely. "But we can't hide behind the metrics if we aim to be more. I'm not asking for unfounded trust, merely the opportunity to merge our strengths and aspirations in a way that transcends history." It was a bold statement, yet Lisa surprisingly felt empowered. Maybe this was the moment of transformation, not just for her company but for her. The journey was both daunting and exhilarating as she stepped closer to her truth. Just then, she caught a glimpse of Roger's eyes, a flicker of something that hinted at newfound respect. It wasn't victory, but there was a shift. But the lingering question remained: how far was she willing to push this vision of herself before risking everything? A decision loomed over her like a storm cloud ready to unleash its full power. As the board continued to confer, Lisa held her breath, knowing the real battle had only just begun. What would this revelation about herself cost, and was she ready to confront the shadows of doubt looming ahead? The board's murmurs faded into an indistinct hum, but Lisa could hear the steady thump of her heartbeat. Doubts fluttered like dark moths around an anxious flame. What if Roger's questions were just the beginning? What if the board's interest waned as the initial spark she ignited fizzled out? Lisa scrutinized their expressions, deciphering who stood with her and who might falter. She had waited all her career for an opportunity like this, an opportunity to redefine herself, to break free from the expectations and limitations imposed on her by the past. With each passing second, she felt the weight of that ambition. The thrill of potential lay tantalizingly close, it was almost overwhelming. "Okay, let us say we decide to go with your proposal," Roger said, his skepticism masked by a hint of curiosity. "What's your ideal outcome for this first workshop?" His unyielding tone sent a shot of adrenaline through her. This was the moment she could show them what her vision entailed, not just a strategy but a transformation of spirit. "The outcome would be cultivating a shared pride in our legacy," she replied, her voice gaining conviction. "By helping our team recount their own stories, they connect our past innovations with their present roles. We want our employees to start embracing our narrative as individuals, not just as cogs in a corporate machine." Silence fell again, heavy yet different. This time, Lisa sensed the board members leaning in physically and mentally. Candles of curiosity were flickering to life. "What you're proposing, it's risky," muttered Margaret, a board member known for her business instincts. "But it's about more than just relaying information, isn't it?" "Exactly, Margaret," Lisa replied, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "It's about creating an emotional connection. We want our team to feel empowered and engaged. When they connect with the story of our company, they will naturally attract customers who resonate with those values." Yet even as her words spread warmth, the cool hand of anxiety clasped her heart. Was she really uprooting a paradigm built over decades? The only path to victory demanded severe vulnerability, both personal and corporate. Lucy, head of HR, seemed lost in thought, her brows furrowed. Lisa shifted her focus, knowing every board member's expression was a potential sign of her fate. "Believe in our people," Lisa urged, voice steady now. "Once our employees feel secure in their stories, they share them. That authenticity can resonate beyond our walls." For a moment, Lisa's heart swelled with hope, but it quickly transformed into an internal tug-of-war. The very essence of who she was combating the fear of what others would think. Was this campaign of authenticity merely a reflection of her battle for self-acceptance? Would they see her initiative as courageous or merely desperate? The struggle felt deeply personal. Finally, Roger shifted again, his eyes narrowing almost critically. What happens when our employees share stories that don't align with your vision? Her breath caught. This was the pivotal question. A wave of uncertainty washed over her, yet deep within, a spark ignited. Her instincts surged. That's where growth happens, Roger, she countered, driven by conviction. We can't control every narrative, but we can guide them. If we create an environment where people feel safe to express themselves, we cultivate a culture that thrives on honesty and resilience. It's about acknowledging even the uncomfortable parts of our history. A true connection emerges from authenticity. For the first time, the entire room paused to reflect. Shadows danced across their faces, signaling contemplation rather than dismissal. Lisa took this chance to push against the tumult of her uncertainties. She could master this challenge as she gradually learned to master herself. Wasn't this what she had always wanted, to help not just the company but also herself find its true voice? But with newfound determination came mounting anxiety. What further risks would she face as she challenged Roger and the entire board? If they faltered, how would she reconcile her aspirations with reality? In this dance with fear and hope, Lisa tightened her grip on her vision, recalibrating her focus. As Roger closed his eyes, clearly assessing the gravity of her vision, a single thought pulled at her: this was merely the beginning. The true test lay ahead. Would she remain steadfast in her pursuit of authenticity amidst inevitable resistance? Or would she cave into the familiar restraints of doubt and conformity, allowing herself to be defined by others yet again? In that moment, with uncertainty tightening her chest, Lisa made a silent vow: she would not back down. This was her narrative, and she would fight to claim it. As time stretched on and conversations resumed, Lisa felt the storm within gather strength, and she braced herself for the upheaval to come. Would the board ultimately believe in her vision, or would their decision erode the very foundation of the person she was becoming? The atmosphere shifted as Lisa faced the board, her internal monologue racing. Each passing moment felt like sand slipping through her fingers, and she couldn't afford to lose this opportunity. The board was no longer just a group of corporate figures to her, they represented the evolution of her career and, paradoxically, the larger narrative of her own life. As she observed their response, Lisa analyzed each furrowed brow, every narrowed gaze. Doubt clung to her like a persistent shadow, yet she sensed an undercurrent of curiosity building among them. Could this potential audience see in her what she was beginning to unravel within herself? Would you allow our people to share their entire histories, including the painful parts? Lucy finally spoke up, still contemplative yet more engaged than before. Lisa took a deep breath, feeling the weight of Lucy's question. Absolutely, she replied, channeling the conviction she'd felt moments earlier. The richer the narrative, the more genuine the connection both to each other and to our customers. It's not just about celebrating our successes, it's also about acknowledging where we've stumbled. That's how we can grow as a collective and as individuals. The board's energy fluctuated as Lisa's words hung in the air. She steeled her resolve, her focus sharpening. This wasn't merely a project, it was a testament to her transformation. But with that realization came a piercing thought: what if the board decided they weren't ready to embrace that vulnerability? Clenching her fists under the table, Lisa strategized her next move. She needed to appeal not just to their intellect, but to their empathy. Let's think about it this way, she continued, her voice gaining momentum. We all have our stories, the moments that shaped us, whether they were triumphs or failures. The heart of our company thrives on those narratives. When our employees share theirs, we humanize our brand, turning it from a faceless entity into something customers can relate to. We become part of their story. Margaret's eyes sparkled momentarily, a glimmer of understanding flickered across her features. But Lisa also noticed Roger's brows knitting tighter. The pushback was inevitable, and Lisa braced herself. And if those stories contradict our public image? If someone raises issues that we intentionally swept away, what then? Roger's tone remained exacting, pressing deep into her psyche. Internal alarm bells sounded. This was the essence of her fear, the risks of being vulnerable in a corporate structure that thrived on control. Yet, she couldn't waver. The very foundation of her proposal relied on authenticity. Lisa met Roger's gaze directly, unwilling to show even a flicker of uncertainty. That, she replied slowly, choosing her words carefully, is the point. It's through confronting those challenges that we truly evolve. As individuals and as a company. She could feel her heart racing as she spoke. Could this dialogue ignite a fundamental shift in their thinking? What if she could pave the way not just for her vision, but for her own personal growth as well? What if this journey towards authenticity could free them all from the chains of conformity? As the silence fell thick once again, Lisa noticed the board members weighing her words, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Would they embrace the shift she was advocating? Or would fear tether them to the status quo? Suddenly, the sound of a clock ticking away minutes felt deafening. Time was slipping, and Lisa knew she needed to capitalize on this fragility. I believe that once we start embracing our stories, we create not just a stronger team but a more vibrant company, she said, her voice charged with conviction. What's the legacy we want to leave behind? One of hiding, or one of transparency? Yet, just as she felt momentum building, she could see Roger preparing to respond again, the tension in the room thickening. Would she have what it took to navigate this rocky path? Lisa's resolve hardened. This was not simply a presentation, it was a test of her conviction, a challenge to her identity. In her quest for authenticity, would she shatter the expectations surrounding her, or would she become yet another voice muted by fear? The clock continued to tick, heralding a decision that could redefine everything. All Lisa could do was hold her breath, awaiting the board's response. Would they embrace her vision, or would their rejection send her spiraling back into the shadows? Lisa's heart pounded as she stood in the boardroom, the glint of sunlight from the large windows casting a warm glow over the bespectacled executives seated before her. Each face held trepidation. Was it doubt or curiosity? Regardless, she felt something had shifted within herself, sparking a fierce commitment to her vision and her family's legacy. This meeting was more than just a battle against Roger. It was her moment to claim her identity. In the wake of Roger's latest challenge, she could almost hear the echoes of her past, the memories of her grandmother's fortitude fueling her ambitions. They hadn't just survived, they had thrived, and now she was here to honor that lineage, to disrupt the path of fear that had held her back for far too long. We can't reshape the future without confronting our past, she continued with unwavering conviction. Our history doesn't bind us, it empowers us. We need to be a testament to resilience, to show our employees and customers that we're more than just data and revenue. She looked around the table, noting the receptive glimmers in a few eyes against the backdrop of skepticism. There was no turning back now, and her voice grew steadier as she pressed on. By tapping into genuine narratives, we energize our workforce and create deeper connections with our customers. Transparency isn't just a policy, it will become our culture. As she captivated the room with her enthusiasm, she couldn't help but notice Mark's approving nod. There was solace in knowing he was beside her, supporting her transformation. The tension in the room shifted, where there had been turmoil, there was now cautious intrigue. "Lisa, you're suggesting a cultural overhaul," Margaret interjected, leaning forward. "That's no small feat, and it will take time. Can you really keep the company's best interests at heart while seeking this level of authenticity?" "Yes," she replied, her determination ignited. "I believe a strong identity will ultimately boost our bottom line. Our competitors are leveraging authenticity incidentally, we can leverage it as a strategy. If our employees feel linked to a purpose, their productivity will naturally increase." Roger's hard gaze met hers, assessing, calculating. "And should any narrative backfire, should it tarnish our brand, who would take the blame? You risk dilution of our reputation." Lisa took a deep breath, steeling herself against the whiplash of fear and excitement. This is not just about blaming individuals. If we embrace our complete story, good and bad, we become a holistic entity, one that illustrates growth and resilience. It allows us to pivot if necessary. A cohesive narrative positions us uniquely in the market, it becomes a point of differentiation. The room was quiet, absorbing the gravity of her assertions. In that silence, she felt every ounce of vulnerability and strength collide. A ripple of acknowledgement seemed to circulate among the board members. They were discussing more than metrics now, they were exploring the heart of the company. With every word, Lisa's confidence solidified. She envisioned a revitalized company, working not only toward success but also genuine connection. I firmly believe our legacy can be a vault of innovation, she continued, her pulse matching the energy filling the space. Let us reframe how we approach people, our employees, our customers, even ourselves. Then she felt it, a surge of inner resolve, clarity. This was the threshold of her transformation, where doubt receded as ambition flourished. The dialogue that day became the scaffolding of her newfound purpose. With every response she gave, she broke the chains that had stifled her perception. She was not just a bystander, she was an integral part of this unfolding narrative. Margaret finally broke the charged silence. You have a vision that challenges conventions, she said contemplatively, and if we commit to an approach that balances boldness with care, perhaps we can navigate this transition into authenticity together. The hesitance around the table began to dissipate slowly as heads nodded. A subtle shift occurring within the dynamics of the group. Lisa seized the moment, enthused yet measured. Let us initiate a pilot program for our people. Let us monitor how the stories we share as a company can elevate engagement and creativity. By year-end, we can evaluate progress and adjust as we grow. The board was murmuring now, opinions weaving through the room. Curiosity overtook the skepticism, and an unexpected wave of support began to swell. Then, Roger was uncharacteristically silent, sharpening his focus on her strategy. After a brief pause, he offered an acknowledgement: if we do this, it will be under the condition that we remain results-focused. Should this initiative falter, I'll need your commitment to reassess our direction promptly. There it was, a foothold of vulnerability and trust that sealed Lisa's transformation. Absolutely, she affirmed, her confidence unwavering as she met his gaze, knowing the internal evolution she had accomplished. I'm all in, and I will hold myself accountable. As they prepared to wrap up the meeting, Lisa felt a wave of anticipation wash over her. She realized she had not only articulated her vision but had successfully positioned herself as a leader willing to navigate the complexities of corporate evolution. Walking out of the boardroom, she found Mark waiting at the door, a triumphant smile sweeping across his face. You did it, he said, respect evident in his tone. You stood your ground, you transformed today. She returned his smile, feeling a lightness in her chest. I did, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. I finally understand my power. With renewed resolve, Lisa embraced the future ahead of her. No longer just a waitress who stumbled into the storm, she had become a force unto herself, forging a new narrative for her life, her purpose, and her family's legacy. She understood now that true success came from authenticity and resilience. And she could finally honor her story without fear. This was just the beginning, and she was ready to lead the way. If you want to witness the true transformations that redefine lives and careers forever, you need to subscribe now to our channel. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to fuel our algorithm and ensure this story reaches all those who need to hear it. Comment your reactions and theories about Lisa's incredible conclusion, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this resolution. Live your truth, encourage others to transform.